Good morning, honorable members. Before we sit, I just wish to invite the chaplain to open us in a word of prayer, please.
Morning. Shall we pray? Almighty God, we come before you with humility and reverence, asking for your wisdom, your guidance upon this house. Bless those gathered here, our leaders, our representatives, and all who serve the people through this institution. Grant them clarity of mind and strength of character and integrity of heart. May they seek justice over power, truth over convenience, and unity over division. Help them to listen with compassion, debate with respect, decide with courage. And may you, Lord, inspire them to lead this great nation. Uphold them in your hands. Bless this parliament, O God, that the work may be honorable, its laws just, its visions worthy of trust, placed it by the people. We ask your blessings today through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain. Please be seated.
Confirmation of minutes of the third meeting of the first session of the 13th Anguilla House of Assembly.
Members, you should have before you in your order papers the minutes of the 27th of May, 2025. Assuming that you've read them, are there any corrections proposed? I recognize the honorable member for Island Harbor.
Good morning, Madam Speaker. Good morning,
Good morning.
to the members and to the House gallery. Madam Speaker, the Honorable Attorney General acting is listed as Ms. Ivor Green. I think he is a Mr., and I don't know if his last name is Richardson.
Thank you, member for Island Harbor. The amendments are made. Are there any other corrections? Hearing that there are no further corrections, do I have a motion that the minutes be confirmed as amended? Thank you, member. Do I have a seconder? A seconder to second. I recognize the member for Valley North. It has been moved and seconded that the minutes as corrected be confirmed. All in favor? Those against? Before we proceed with the oaths of allegiance, I do have apologies from the Premier, who is slightly delayed from another engagement at the Governor's office and en route. Oaths of allegiance to new members. I invite the Honorable Acting Attorney General to take the oath.
I, Ivor Green, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors, according to law, so help me God.
Mr. Green, of course, is no stranger to us, so we welcome him to the Assembly.
Announcements by the direction of the Speaker.
I do have apologies for the absence of Minister Mr. Jose Vanterpool. He's currently attending the second annual Artificial Intelligence Research Conference held in Antigua at the UB Five Islands campus. Mr. Vanterpool is accompanying the Anguilla Robotics Association, who attended the conference last year as observers, and this year is leading the robotics showcase. President and founder of the Anguilla Robotics Association, Ms. Zuleika Frazier, is presenting at the conference on AI-driven sustainable finance and investment in the Caribbean. In addition to collaborating and participating in sessions on topics such as AI and Caribbean digital transformation, AI for the future of work, AI for a sustainable agricultural future, Mr. Vanterpool is also participating in the conference as a moderator. So we ask that his attendance be excused. By way of announcements, I also have given leave to the member for Valley South who wishes to make a very brief announcement.
Madam Speaker, honorable members, good morning. I rise today with heartfelt gratitude to acknowledge unwavering support of my Valley South community and the family of the late Ashley Brooks Sr. In April of this year, we registered a non-profit organization under the name Valley South United, VSU for short. This organization is committed to the upliftment of the Valley South region. VSU's mission is centered on community development, mobilization, funding, and resources to meet our local needs, while fostering unity, sustainable growth, and an improved quality of life for all residents, with particular emphasis on youth development. On Friday, June 20th, Valley South United took a significant step forward by signing a 20-year lease agreement with the family of Ashley Brooks Sr. This lease marks the official handover of the Valley basketball court to the organization. We at VSU are excited about the restoration of this important community facility, which we envision as a vibrant space for young people from across the island. We look forward to the support of the wider community as we restore new life into this basketball court. In this effort, we also honor the enduring legacy of the men and women who championed basketball in the Valley since the 1980s. In particular, we recognize and commend Mr. Emmanuel Webster for his dedicated work over the years. It is our hope to pay that dedication forward by ensuring today's youth have the opportunities and facilities they deserve to strive. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, member, for that announcement.
Questions? None. Government statements and recent developments. Statement by the Honorable Member for Valley North, the Minister of Social Development.
The chair recognizes the honorable member for Valley North.
Good morning, Madam Speaker, members of the House on both sides, members of the community listening via radio and Facebook Live. Pleasant good morning. Madam Speaker, I rise today to inform this honorable House and the people of Anguilla that through Executive Council's approval, in the coming weeks, legislation will be brought to the House of Assembly to amend the Goods and Services Tax Act to exempt all forms of entertainment from the burdensome application of GST. This is a significant and timely intervention. A few years ago, Anguilla was seeing the rise of a robust and vibrant entertainment and promotion sector, largely driven by the vision and talent and determination of young entrepreneurs across the island. Events, concerts, cultural showcases, and other forms of entertainment were not only thriving, but were also becoming vital threads in the social and economic fabric of the island. However, the introduction of GST, though critical for our long-term fiscal sustainability has had an unintended and immediate impact on the entertainment industry. In a very short period, we have seen a noticeable reduction in activity, innovation, and opportunity within the sector. The cost of producing events has increased, and many promoters, artists, and small entertainment businesses have struggled to remain viable. Madam Speaker, I want to share the voices of some of these young entrepreneurs, voices that reflect frustration, challenge, and hope of a generation. One promoter shared, "Before GST, we were just starting to gain momentum. I could host an event and still make enough to reinvest. After GST, the margins disappeared overnight. It was like we were being punished for trying to build something positive." Another young entrepreneur who specializes in cultural showcases said, "I've had to cancel 3 events in the last 2 years. The added GST costs pushed ticket prices too high and people simply stopped coming. It's heartbreaking because we're not just losing income, we're losing cultural moments. In addition to the GST on tickets, we also had to pay GST on sound equipment, drinks, and so much more. It just isn't worth it." Another event coordinator said, "Entertainment isn't just fun. It's survival for many of us. The GST made it hard to compete, hard to grow, and hard to keep going." This individual was kind enough to share with me some of the bills associated with GST for one of the events. One of the bills was $14,000 and the other one was $24,000. And Madam Speaker, this was another one that came in late that I didn't have the opportunity to put in my speech, but I thought it important nonetheless. This is from a young female entrepreneur. "Charging GST on events in Anguilla is doing more harm than good. With our small population, most events barely break even. Many promoters operate at a loss, putting in their own money purely out of love for the culture. Now imagine taking that loss and still having to pay GST on all earnings to the government. It's unsustainable. Events do more than entertain, they fuel the local economy. Makeup artists, hairstylists, lash techs, clothing stores, food vendors, DJs, all earn from these events. They create jobs and they keep money circulating on island. Big tourism driving events like Sinkit's Music Festival, St. Lucia Jazz, Dominica's Creole Fest didn't start big. They grew over time. But if we make it nearly impossible for local promoters to get started, how will Anguilla ever reach that level? We are making growth difficult. Supporting events is supporting culture, small businesses, and economic development. The 13% tax is holding all of that back." Madam Speaker, I wish to put on record my gratitude for these individuals that were willing to pen their experiences on paper. Madam Speaker, Anguilla is a small and unique island, one that requires entertainment at every level. Entertainment enhances our tourism product, provides our youth with meaningful, creative, and fun outlets, and strengthens our cultural identity and industries. As the Minister responsible for culture, I take this opportunity to thank the Premier and the dedicated staff of the Ministry of Finance for their foresight and collaboration in facilitating these changes. Their responsiveness has allowed us to implement this amendment in time for the upcoming summer festival season, ensuring that our promoters and creatives can benefit from this exemption sooner. We now await the work of the AG's chambers to complete the amendments for submission to the next House of Assembly. We believe this is more than just a tax change. It is an investment in our culture, our youth, and our future. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Member. Pursuant to Standing Order 27-5, are there any questions arising from the statement? If there are no questions, we can proceed.
Papers? None. Reports from committees? None. Petitions? None. Government notices? None. Private members' notices, none. Motions, Motion 7 of 2025, 1/13 HOA, approval of the House of Assembly Procedure Amendment Rules 2025.
Members, there are 3 motions before the House on the order paper. I would like to invite the proposer for motion 7 of 2025 to move the motion.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, at this time, I ask to move motion 72025 113 HOA, House of Assembly Procedure Amendment Rules 2025.
Is there a seconder?
Madam Speaker, I rise to second the motion.
It has been moved and seconded. You may proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Resolution, the House of Assembly acknowledging the community's expectations of high standards for their elected representatives and the desire of members of this honorable House to enhance the propriety, strengthen the public trust in the Assembly, encourage ethical conduct, and reduce risk to the integrity of the institution. Recalling the endorsement of the Code of Conduct and Register of Interest on the 28th day of March 2023, hereby resolves that, in accordance with Section 49 of the Anguilla Constitution Order 1982, the House of Assembly has made the House of Assembly Procedure Amendment Rules 2025, and the rules shall be forwarded to Her Excellency the Governor forthwith for approval. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise here today to present and commend for approval of the House of Assembly Procedures Rules 2025. This is an important step in our collective mission to strengthen transparency, ethical governance, and public trust in this honorable House. These amendments made under the authority of Section 49 of the Anguilla Constitution Order 1982 represent a significant evolution of the legislative procedures. They are not merely technical adjustments, they are a reflection of our values, our aspirations, and our commitment to principled leadership. Let me briefly outline the key changes. First, under Rule 13, we introduce a requirement for the Premier to move a non-substantive motion on the government's legislative program within 6 months of a general election. This motion, accompanied by the Premier's speech, now formally designated as the opening address, ensures that the government's legislative intentions are clearly communicated at the outset of the new term. Importantly, this 6-month window allows a newly elected government sufficient time to properly strategize, consult, and identify its legislative priorities. It balances the need for timely transparency with the practical realities of forming a coherent and responsive legislative agenda. Second, we establish Rule 67A, which mandates a written declaration of interest by all members within 28 days of office, and I repeat. We establish Rule 67A, which mandates a written declaration of interest by all members within 28 days of taking office. These declarations include the interests of immediate family members, will be stored by the clerk and published online. They will remain accessible for 7 years after the member leaves office. This is a bold move towards greater public oversight and ethical clarity. Third, we introduce Rule 88A, Schedule 1, which together establish a formal code of conduct for all members, including ministers, the Speaker of the House, and temporary members. This code applies core principles: selflessness, integrity, objectivity, accountability, openness, honesty, and leadership. The code is not based on the UK House of Commons Code. Instead, UK standards apply only where Anguilla's code is silent or does not provide specific guidance. It requires members to disclose a wide range of financial interests, from real estate and shareholdings to cryptocurrency and gifts. It also introduces a Commissioner of Standards appointed with a cross-party agreement to investigate complaints and recommend sanctions where necessary. Because, Madam Speaker, we believe that no member of Parliament is above reproach or sanctioning. These reforms are not just procedural, they are cultural. They signal a shift toward a more modern, ethical, and accountable legislature. They provide mechanisms for enforcement, including sanctions ranging from warnings to suspensions. And they emphasize respectful conduct, responsible use of public resources, and the avoidance of conflict of interest. Broader implications. These amendments are a product of thoughtful consultation and collaboration. They reflect the strategic goal of this House to build the trust and confidence of the people. They are informed by the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association benchmarks for democratic legislatures and supported by technical expertise from across the Commonwealth, including the invaluable contributions of Mr. Tom Duncan, Clerk of the Australian Capital Territory Legislative Assembly. We are also deeply grateful to Matthew Salick of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association for his steadfast support and guidance throughout this process. His contributions have been instrumental in shaping these reforms. Our next steps, Madam Speaker, are to seek the approval of the Code of Conduct and the Register of Interest through this motion, confirm the provisions of the commencement date and operational details of the new rules, initiate the appointment of a Commissioner of Standards to oversee compliance and investigation, establish a digital platform for the publication of members' interests, launch public and member education interests and efforts to ensure understanding and effective implementation of the Code and Register, commit to a further review and revision of the Code of Conduct by the Administrative Committee within the next year to improve its clarity, relevance, and effectiveness, and to continue to collaborate with the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association and other partners to support ongoing reform and capacity building. In closing, I wish to express our sincere thanks to the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association headquarters, to Mr. Tom Duncan, to Mr. Matthew Silic, and to all those members and staff and citizens who have contributed significantly to this work, particularly the Administrative Committee of the House of Assembly, which I am a member. Let us move forward together with integrity and purpose in the service of a more transparent and trustworthy House of Assembly. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member. So it has been moved and seconded. I now open the floor for debate of Motion 7 of 2025, House of Assembly Procedure Amendment Rules 2025. Are there any contributions? The Chair recognizes the Honorable Member for Island Harbor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we welcome this Code of Conduct and also the procedural rule. However, listing a statement 6 months after the opening of a session as an opening address doesn't seem to be practical. So maybe we need to consider that since this would be the address regarding the legislative agenda, maybe we can title it accordingly. I certainly don't think an opening address given 6 months after an opening of a session is an appropriate name. Secondly, Madam Speaker, I have concern about the clerk keeping my information on the internet for 7 years after I would have demitted office. I think it's more reasonable for 2 years, because I think that's a pretty standard sunsetting clause. And then the clerk having access to that information and then destroying after 7 years would be more appropriate in my opinion. But I certainly do not feel comfortable that my information is on the internet for that length of time, because we understand that even though there's a culture shift, There are also nefarious actors in and outside of the House, Madam Speaker, that might utilize that information. And so that would be a request of mine, that we consider lessening the amount of years after a member has left the House for the information to be on the internet. Certainly no issue with it being kept by the clerk for the up to 7 years as recommended. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Are there any other contributions? Having taken into consideration the proposal from the Honorable Member for Island Harbor, if I can call upon the Honorable Member and invite him to maybe propose an amendment to the section that is being referred to and perhaps put to the members. I understood that the code would have been prepared with involvement of both sides of the House in the prior sittings. Perhaps if the member would wish to make that amendment now, or is it that the member wishes to have that on the review date as the indication from the proposer that there would be a review within 12 months of the specific terms?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would recommend that it goes through the review, since it wouldn't come into effect until the next session of the House. During that time, the Administration Committee could take it under review. Thank you very much.
Very grateful for that indication, and as indicated by the Administration Committee, there's representation from both sides, so they will take that under advisement. If there are any other contributions, I would hear those now. If not, I would put this to a vote as it is informed with the indication from the Honorable Member. Any other contributions? It has been moved and seconded that the motion 7 of 2025 be confirmed. I apologize. Would the mover wish to respond to the comments?
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I have no further comments on.
Very grateful. It has been moved and seconded that motion 7 of 2025 be carried as a motion of this House. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Motion 7 of 2025 is hereby confirmed. Thank you, Dr. Webster, for the indication. The second motion I invite the proposer to move is motion 8 of 2025. I invite the Honorable Member for Sandy Hill.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Good morning to you, to the members of this honorable House, to the listening and viewing public. Madam Speaker, I beg to move motion number 8 of 2025, appointment of members of the Anguilla House of Assembly to the OECS Assembly, pursuant to Article 10 of the revised Treaty of Basseterre, establishing the Organization of the Eastern Caribbean States Economic Union.
Do I have a seconder to second motion 8 of 2025? The chair recognizes the Honorable Member for Road South.
Sorry, I second.
Thank you. Madam.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you to the member for Road South. Resolution, whereas Article 10 of the revised Treaty of Basseterre provides for the establishment of the OECS Assembly as an organ of the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, OECS, composed of representatives from the national legislatures of member states and associated states. And whereas Anguilla, as an associated state of the OECS, is entitled to appoint 3 representatives to the OECS Assembly. And whereas the OECS Assembly serves as a deliberative forum for the discussion of issues affecting the OECS Economic Union and the wider region. And whereas it is necessary for the House of Assembly of Anguilla to appoint its representatives to the OECS Assembly for the term 2025 through 2027 in accordance with the provisions of the treaty. Be it resolved that the following members of the Anguilla House of Assembly are hereby appointed to serve as members of the OECS Assembly for the period 2025 to 2027. A. Mrs. Cora Richardson Hodge, Honorable Member for Sandy Hill, Premier of Anguilla and Minister of Finance, Immigration, Labor, Home Affairs, and Constitutional Affairs. B. Dr. Ellis Lorenzo Webster, Honorable Member for Ireland Harbour and Leader of the Opposition. C. Mrs. Chelia Rogers Webster, Honorable Member for Valley North and Minister of Social Development. The appointed members shall represent Anguilla in the OECS Assembly and participate in its deliberations in accordance with the rules and procedures established by the OECS. The Clerk of the House of Assembly shall notify the OECS Commission of these appointments forthwith. This resolution shall take effect from the commencement of the 7th sitting of the OECS Assembly. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
As this resolution has been moved and proposed in consensus, I don't anticipate that there is any debate, but does any member wish to contribute to the motion? If not, I put the question that motion 8 of 2025 be carried as a motion of this House. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it. The motion is confirmed.
Motion 9 of 2025, 1/13 HOA, approval of higher education licensing authorization of accreditation amendment regulations 2025.
I call upon the proposer, the Honorable Member for Valley North, to move motion 9 of 2025.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to move motion 9, 2025, the Higher Education Licensing Authorization of Accreditation Amendment Regulations 2025. Whereas Section 26(2) of the Higher Education Licensing Act, RSA CH4, enables the Governor and Council to make regulations to authorize any accreditation body or authority to accredit medical or non-medical programs and qualifications offered by an institution in Anguilla. And whereas the Governor and Council did make those regulations on the 19th of June, 2025. And whereas Section 26(3) of the Higher Education Licensing Act provides that regulations may not take effect until it is approved by a resolution of the House of Assembly. And whereas these regulations are set out in the schedule thereto. Be it resolved that under Section 26 of the Higher Education Licensing Act, the House of Assembly approves the regulations set out in the schedule. And Madam Speaker, permit me to briefly read.
If there's a seconder before you proceed, do I have a seconder?
Madam Speaker, I raise the second.
I recognize that the Honorable Member for Road South has seconded motion 9 of 2025. Member, you may proceed.
Thank you. Madam Speaker, as Anguilla continues to position itself as a destination for higher quality education, it is imperative that our legislative framework supports this vision. The recent approval of the Higher Education Licensing Act regulations is a critical step forward in ensuring that reputable accreditation bodies are formally recognized under Anguilla's laws. This recognition allows us to confidently enter into partnerships with credible institutions around the world, creating new opportunities for local and international students alike. I was recently asked to sign a memorandum of understanding with one such institution, and before doing so, I believed it was essential and necessary that Anguilla had the appropriate legal backing to support such an engagement. With this framework now in place, we can proceed with confidence and integrity. I wish to extend my sincerest thanks to Mrs. Kaisha Gums Bibi for her guidance and expert advice on this important matter. We look forward to working closely with the accreditation institutions to ensure that Anguilla and its institutions upholds the highest standards in higher education. And to read the regulations. Regulations made by the Governor and Council under Section 26 of the Higher Education Licensing Act, Amendment of Schedule. 1. The principal regulation is amended in the schedule by inserting the following new item 2 and 3 immediately following item 1 in the schedule. 2. Accreditation Agency Curacao, AAC, and 3. Independent Agency for Accreditation and Rating, IAAR. Citation: these regulations may be cited as the Higher Education Authorization of Accreditation Bodies or Authorities Amendment 2025. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
It has been moved and seconded that motion 9 of 2025 be carried in this House. Are there any contributions or debate in respect of this motion? The floor is now open. The chair recognizes the honorable member for Island Harbor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to thank the member and the government for bringing this motion to the House. Madam Speaker, one of the goals and pillars of economic development by the Anguilla Progressive Movement was to increase the number and quality of knowledge-based institutions that were registered in Anguilla. We do know that having these institutions here, whether online or having economic substance being present with students in Anguilla would increase and improve the economy in terms of students needing apartments, needing cars, rental cars, needing to shop at our supermarkets. And so this was a goal that we pursued, Madam Speaker. And so we want to thank institutions like the American University of Anguilla Medical School, New Anglia University Medical School, and Global Humanistic University, GHU, which signed on MOUs, signed during the term of the Anguilla Progressive Movement. And certainly we were pursuing accreditations for these institutions, and one of the accreditation agencies, IAR, as one that was being pursued. And certainly I want to thank the government for continuing that and making it official. In terms of AAC, certainly another accreditation agency which is reputable, and these are important to have to add to other agencies such as CAMHP and the other accreditation agencies where our institutions are. I do know that there was concern by some members of the current administration when they were in opposition that they were unaccredited institutions in Anguilla. But this is a process, Madam Speaker. And certainly, I'm happy to know that the administration has realized that these institutions have to apply for accreditation, go through the process, meet all the requirements, and then be accredited. And they certainly want to be here in Anguilla. That's why they have come. That's why they are registered. And also, Madam Speaker, and we have to ensure that we make their stay here worthwhile because of the economic benefit that they provide and the human development that is available. Most of these institutions, Madam Speaker, will provide and do provide scholarships for our Anguillian students at the institutions, some 5, some 10, and some unlimited scholarships for Anguillians. So again, I want to thank the administration for seeing the need to move this forward, and certainly want to give my, approval. Thank you.
Thank you, honorable member. Are there any other contributions? I invite the mover to respond, if so desired.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you very much to the honorable member for Island Harbor for his support of this. Madam Speaker, I just want to put on record that the Anguilla United Front has a history of supporting medical schools. As a matter of fact, the first medical school to come to Anguilla came under the Anguilla United Front administration. So we have always recognized the importance of having such institutions in this country. And for us, it is always important that the public is aware of these institutions, whether or not they're accredited, because, Madam Speaker, it is very, very important for whoever the students are that are entering these schools to know exactly what they're getting themselves involved in. And so, certainly while I was in opposition, I would have asked a number of questions in relation to accreditation. And, Madam Speaker, I'm well aware of the accreditation process, Madam Speaker. Higher education is something that is certainly not new to me, Madam Speaker. I've worked in higher education academia for a number of years as a professor remotely, Madam Speaker. So again, accreditation is certainly nothing that is new to me. And I understand that there is a process, but we must be very open and transparent about those processes so that persons going to medical schools understand those things, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, in relation to this, I have supported this from the very onset because I understand the importance of ensuring that these bodies are recognized in our legislation, because we will be welcoming even more schools in different disciplines, and it's important that our legislation reflects those things. So this was very important for me in the early period, Madam Speaker, to be able to get this through, because there are some medical schools that are actually relying on this, Madam Speaker, and have been relying on this since last year. So it was very important that I accelerated this process, and I want to thank the members of the Executive Council for their support on this, and the AG Chambers for turning around the adjustment to the legislation very quickly. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, member. I hereby now put motion 9, 2025 to vote. It has been moved and seconded that the Higher Education Licensing Authorization of Accreditation Amendment Regulations 2025 be confirmed as a motion. Those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it. The motion is carried.
Personal explanations? None. Other business? Private members' bills? None. Private bills? None. Other orders of the day?
I suspect that there are no further matters before the House or the order paper. If there are none, I would wish to thank each of the members for your very prudent and efficient use of today's time. Thank you for your contributions. I do recognize that the honorable member for Island Harbor has an indication to make.
Yes, Madam Speaker, just in other orders of the day, if you had a statement to complete, then like our usual, we like to, mention those who have passed and things like that. Is that the time
proceed.
for that?
Sure, you may proceed, member.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Appreciate it very much. Madam Speaker, I wish to take this time to recognize the members of the Anguilla national cricket team who had a stellar performance in Antigua during the Leeward Islands T20 tournament. And certainly there have been several events congratulating them, but I'd like here to acknowledge the yeoman task in representing Anguilla so effectively. I'd like to recommend that the Anguilla Cricket Association, Department of Sports, to sponsor at least an annual T20 tournament to keep our cricketers, and I said at least annually because it may be possible to do more than that, and also to interact with St. Martin, which is next door, to keep our cricketers keep their skills up and also to get new cricketers in, because we know that the talents, it's not only just playing cricket, but this can become careers, Madam Speaker. Also would like to give condolences to the families of Ms. Carmencita Davis, who was a public servant and who passed recently, and certainly want to thank her for her service and thank her family. And as they mourn, we wish God's grace and his strength. Pastor Norrell Gomes, who served the Baptist community of Anguilla unceasingly until his passing. I know he recently had a 60th anniversary of preaching, and he has passed, and we certainly want to wish condolences to his family, not only his physical family, but also the church family of Baptists who mourn his passing. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The Chair recognizes the member for Road South.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I too would like to extend deepest condolences to Pastor Norrell's family, and coming closer to home to the family of Ms. Carmencita Davis, who was a long-standing member of the Anguilla Public Service, who worked diligently and hard. I've had many interactions with her while I was a hospitality professional, and she was very meticulous and bold and brave in the work that she carried out. And not only working in the Anguilla Public Service, but also a strong member of the Blowing Point community and the Marian Arthur Methodist Church. So on behalf of myself and my family, I would like to extend deepest condolences to the entire community of Blowing Point on the passing of Ms. Carmencita Davis. Thank you.
Thank you, Member. The Chair recognizes the Single Island-wide Electoral District Member Rogers. Mr. Rogers.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I too would like to place on record my sincere appreciation for the Anguilla national cricket team. Madam Speaker, as one who would have represented Anguilla for almost a decade, suffered at the hands of the rest of the Leeward Islands teams, you can just imagine how elated I was. We were, in those years, the other end of the spectrum. So welcoming home a very successful and championship-oriented team gave me a sense of pride, Madam Speaker. And I could only endorse and support the programs that this government would embark upon in terms of assisting our young cricketers. I may be biased in that aspect, as I said, as a member of the national cricket team for a number of years, but sports in general in Anguilla, be it male or female, young or old. And Madam Speaker, I too would like to endorse the sentiments of the former Premier and member for District 1 in terms of the T20 that he mentioned in his address. The Premier's League, I believe it was named for some years, and I have no doubt that that particular league will continue not only to endorse it, but to enhance it, Madam Speaker, to make it more open and transparent going forward, so that our teams will be energized and would be very enthusiastic about participating in such a tournament. Unfortunately, as we age, I may not be able to be selected for the Masters, but at the end of the day, my support will be there for them. So it is a moment of joy. It is a moment not only of reflection for me personally, but it is also a moment of satisfaction to see where our young folks are, based on talent, based on quality leadership, management, coaching, and so on and so forth. I'm very proud of it. Madam Speaker, with respect to my condolences to the Davis's family, Carmen Cedar and I were very close from our days at the Valley Secondary School, now the Albina Lake Arch Comprehensive School. On to our studies in Jamaica. I can very well remember, Madam Speaker, I wasn't only senior, I'm not only senior in this house, but I was also senior, super senior, protector of the Anguillan students who would have visited the College of Arts, Science and Technology, now the University of Technology in Jamaica. Carmen Cedar was one of those students who came after me. And as I said, we remained friends from our high school days right up until her death. I spoke to her 48 hours prior to her death. We were always in contact. We spoke about just about everything under the sun. And just to say to the family that I am more than delighted to honor her request to be one of her pallbearers at her funeral. I will be there, and on her request, I will do that for her. And just to say to the Davis family, you know, God is in control. And while we sympathize, and while we grieve, that at the end of the day, it is a process and a pathway that all of us will have to travel one day. So, my condolences to the immediate and extended family of our dear departed, Sister Carmen Cedar Davis. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, member. The chair recognizes the member for West End.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I couldn't miss the opportunity to congratulate the Anguilla senior cricket team. The truth is, Madam Speaker, I think they played above expectations because they will tell you they weren't best prepared. But you have to give them all the credit because against the odds, they won. And the man of the tournament, Jamal Hamilton, had his best year with the West Indies Senior League. He took that form and leadership into the tournament. Chesley Hughes, former cricketer with Derbyshire, played like a professional. Dimitri Adams played like the player we know he is from a very young age. The leadership of those three in particular with the bat suggested that Anguilla played the perfect game where with runs on the board for those who understand the game, it gives you the best possible chance of success. But a team is not just about three players. It is about a squad, management and coaches. Again, Madam Speaker, but the key is, at the end of the day, it bonded Anguilla like the good old days. We needed something, especially from young men. In fact, some of them might not be so young, but they played like young men. And the island was lifted. And sports has an amazing ability of bonding nations, bonding people, breaking down barriers. We see it in South Africa. Even at times when Israel and Palestine might be fighting each other, they still find time to play sports. As a Minister for Sports, and with my assistant, Jason Bryan, and of course with the Premier, and I know as a team, we will support all the sports. All of the sports in Anguilla needs more help. And it's good that the general public are asking for more money to go into sports. But it's not just about money and where does the money go. A lot of it has to go into the development. So from the sports office, we will go back to what we know that works, and that is to make sure that there is cricket in schools. I came back home, Madam Speaker, in the early 90s to do just that. There's a formula that works, and we'll make it happen again. So those players I would have mentioned were those that I worked with in primary school. But today is not about me, what I did. It is about a system that works and how we're going to make it happen. But it's not just cricket. And it's not just about a team that comes home having won a tournament. But everybody, every athlete, cyclist, volleyball players who've been playing around it at the same time probably got overshadowed by the cricketers. But if you go out there to represent your island, to me, you're already a winner. The key is that for us in Anguilla, not just to applaud those who win at the end of the day, but those who actually did their best to represent. So, again, to the Anguilla cricket team, and I cannot get to my feet without talking about boat racing, because the Wizard, captained by a young man, filled with young boys and some girls, they continue to win race after race. It's a sport that bonds Anguilla more than cricket does. And it is our culture, but it's also the sport that we can call our own. We don't need the International Federation to tell us what a hardly is and what a draw is. It's our sport. And we are so privileged to have our young men, who many might think are the vulnerable ones, out there prepared to put the efforts in to make sure that we're proud of what our foreparents would call our national sport. So, and as a government, Madam Speaker, and I'm sure from the other side, we'll get the support as well. Because when our young men are crying out for attention, we better give it to them. And I'd like to think that, and I know that we as a government will do that. Coming up with the next budget, we will make sure that there is enough funding that is there to help the development. It's not just to go out and play, but to make sure that the development is there, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'd also want to give condolences to all the families who would have lost loved ones. Carmencita Davis, I knew very well. I know a friend of mine who was a great supporter when I was, as a youngster, playing cricket in England, Jonathan Gums. He works with the Anguillan team in England, based in Slough. I know that he would take many trips from Slough up to Liverpool to take her to the doctor. So I know he would be hurting today. Yesterday, Madam Speaker, I too was hurting. There's a gentleman, he wasn't such a gentleman with a ball in his hand. He was the first born black player to have played for England. He died yesterday, Madam Speaker, at the age of 61, named David Lawrence. I knew him when I was a 17-year-old, when I first went to camp at Gloucestershire. He died from motor neuron disease, and the Premier would probably know most about it. I had a chance to speak with him for the last time, Madam Speaker, about 4 months ago. And it was a farewell call. He was really struggling. And it's, again, not many Anguillans would know him, but I knew him well. And you don't have to be someone from around the corner to have an impact on someone's life. If anybody wants to follow what motor neuron disease is, it is something that takes hold of the nervous system. He was a big, strong guy. He was a bodybuilder. He was a bouncer. The last time I was in England at the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham, he drove from Gloucestershire, where he was the president of Gloucestershire County Cricket Club. That's his achievement as a black man in England, to be the president of a county cricket club. He drove all the way up to meet me, and this is the middle of COVID, when the world was talking about COVID. And he said that was the last time we actually physically saw each other. But the key there, Madam Speaker, was that he felt that us as black players in county cricket was waning a bit. When we were playing, there was about 3 or 4. I think currently there's only about 3 or 4. But what his concern was that we were a dying breed, not just about the fact that Joey Benjamin will slack Neil Williams, who've all played for England, have passed as very young people. But today, Madam Speaker, in the Anguilla House of Assembly, I stand to pay tribute to a personal friend of mine, someone who had a positive impact on many lives of black cricketers and black people, especially in Gloucestershire, in Bristol, where they saw him as a role model. So may his soul rest in peace, and may the souls of all those who would have passed in recent times rest in peace. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member. I note that the member for Road North wishes to speak.
Madam Speaker, I trust that the words that come from the other members of this House will bring the families of the dear departed some type of comfort. Madam Speaker, I also would like to help congratulate the Anguilla cricket team. I mean, there was a marvelous job they did. Like the speakers before me said, you know, those of us who have followed cricket for any time know when Anguilla have gotten its fair share of blows from the other teams in the Leeward Islands. And to see now that we are the ones sharing blows, it felt good. I was speaking earlier just before House start to Officer Masimba Bowens, who happened to be the leading wicket taker in the tournament. So I was asking him to share his secret because he's almost a senior citizen like some of us in here, and to see at 40 years old, he's being the leading wicket taker in the tournament, did wonders. But the conversation though centered around, Madam Speaker, because I was telling him, you know, even just watching the games on the screen, you could have seen how together the team were, you know, and he was telling me, you know, they did everything together as a team. They wanted to represent Anguilla, not the individual, that they wanted to represent Anguilla. And I felt that deep down within me, Madam Speaker, because sometimes we forget, Madam Speaker, that it's about Anguilla. We get caught up in all our little simedimes, to use a colloquial term. We get caught up in all our little simedimes and forget sometimes the big picture, which is Anguilla. So again, I say congratulations to the entire Anguilla Cricket Association and to the team. Madam Speaker, I also want to congratulate the Bethel Methodist Church, Madam Speaker. They celebrated 147 years of stewardship here, Madam Speaker, in Anguilla. 147 years, Madam Speaker. And they also had a rededication service last Sunday. I had the pleasure of being there at the service. I was also luckily not caught up in a scheme. I somehow escaped, but some of the other members of the House weren't so fortunate. Right, member from Sandy Hill and Honorable Deputy Governor. But it was an enjoyable service, Madam Speaker. Also, Madam Speaker, what I got from that service, that sometimes you have to, no matter what the struggles are, no matter what's happening, because the pastor at the time, he put up a picture on the screen. A drone took a shot after the church was destroyed by Hurricane Irma. They were still having service in the church, even though there was just half a roof. So to see that they persevered in serving God, no matter what the circumstances, and now to go in that chapel, Madam Speaker, and when you look up to see the wonderful work that has been done by so many members of our community, it's definitely something to give thanks and praises for, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, finally, I want to congratulate the Men's Week honorees, Madam Speaker. If anyone go on Facebook, you can read the bios of some of those gentlemen who receive honors for Men's Week. I had the pleasure of going to the award ceremony on Saturday to witness some of them getting their awards and to see some of the family members so proud you're sitting in the audience as their family members receive those awards. But two stood out. Well, one stood out, and one I will speak about on a different matter. There's a young man who went through some struggling times, and I think he received the Phoenix Award, Mr. Smith. I just didn't realize till I was there that I actually went to school with his mom. But to see where he came from and what he's making of himself, Madam Speaker, I think his story needs to be told far and wide in Anguilla, especially to our young men, Madam Speaker, who sometimes don't always take the correct path, but we just need to keep showing them that there's always hope. And the other one, Madam Speaker, is Coach Insia Buster Brooks. I've had the pleasure of knowing him since he was a child. I actually coached him when he was a youngster. But to see what this young man has made of himself, Madam Speaker, he's quiet, and anyone who walks at him, you can get a little frustrated, Madam Speaker, because when he sets himself a task, and you are part of that mission with him, how much he puts himself into it and how he's so dedicated to getting it done properly, Madam Speaker, it can become a little infuriating. So I want to say a special congratulations to him, Mr. Smith, and all the other honorees, Madam Speaker, who received the honors at the Men's Week. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member. I recognize the Single Island Wide Electoral District Member, Mr. Bryan.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and good morning to all honorable members of this House and the listeners present via media. Madam Speaker, I'm filled with joy to see the members of this House, how they congratulate the cricket team and any other sport. And I also share the same sentiment because as a ministerial assistant for sports, it fills me with joy. And I hope to see the same sentiment when I start to bring proposals to this House in support of sports. Madam Speaker, I also rise to commend the members of Valley South. As a member of Valley South was sharing the lease agreement that was signed for the Valley basketball court in partnership with the family of the late Ashley Brooks, sir. And this marks more than a legal transaction. It is the revival of a community heartbeat. This court has long stood as a symbol of energy, opportunity, and togetherness. And I wholeheartedly welcome this move toward restoration of sports in Valley South and in general in Anguilla, because this court was used for long years throughout the island for basketball tournaments. As a ministerial assistant for sports, I am especially encouraged to see grassroots leadership taking the charge in transforming public spaces for the benefit of our youth. Too often our young people are left without proper outlets to grow, play, and dream. Initiatives like the Valley South United that recently signed shift one where the community is not just waiting for the change, but becoming the driver of the change. So I acknowledge their new commencement on this lease agreement, and I wish them the best as they grow, and we hope to support. I also would like to commend the Men's Week, the honorees as well, because has been part of it where I shared some brief remarks. I understand that we also as men deserve our moments. And I just want to commend them. And Speaker, sports is growing in Anguilla. And as I said, I love the acknowledgement of every member. And I hope to see the continued support, not only here at the House as we speak, but on the ground as well. And I want to wish every sport that is performing, participating in upcoming tournaments the best. And may God guide them and protect them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The Chair recognizes the Honorable Member for Valley North.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I wish to express condolences to the family of Mrs. Carmencita Davis, who's a career public servant. I also wish to express condolences to the family of Mr. Jeffrey Wade on his untimely passing, Madam Speaker. I also want to express condolences to the family and friends of Mrs. Rosalind Webster, who was a member of my team, a very valued member, Madam Speaker. She will be laid to rest on Saturday of this week. So we ask that you keep the family in your prayers. I want to express my congratulations, Madam Speaker, to the cricket team, Anguilla's cricket team. I just want to put on record that the highest percentage of the cricketers came from the Valley North constituency. And I don't think that's a coincidence, Madam Speaker. I want to commend Mr. Terry Adams, the coach, for his outstanding work and his dedication to the sport, not just now, Madam Speaker, but over the years. I'd also like to recognize Dimitri and Jamal Hamilton as well for their outstanding work as captain, and certainly as one of the most outstanding members of the matches, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I also want to wish the best to the member of the Anguilla Summer Festival Committee, Mr. Carwin Carty, who is going to be traveling to the Anguilla Music Festival, coming very soon to represent the Summer Festival Committee. This is a collaboration between the St. Kitts Music Festival Committee and the Anguilla Summer Festival Committee, Madam Speaker. As persons know, the music festival is one of the most captive audiences of any event in the Leeward Islands. It brings people from all across the Caribbean, smaller and larger islands, and it's a unique opportunity for Anguilla to market the Anguilla Summer Festival. We are very happy that we have the opportunity to have a free booth there and also to allow for free promotional material during that period. And we have built a relationship with the committee so that there will be different exchanges over the period of the next few months as well, where we will also support St. Kitts in relation to their carnival in December. It's an amazing collaborative opportunity, and we've only had to cover the cost of ticket and accommodations and meals for Mr. Carty, which is less than $1,500, Madam Speaker, and really allows for an amazing opportunity. So I just wanted to wish him the very best. We also have 2 members of the Anguilla Summer Festival team who will be there on the ground on their own and will assist with the promotions as well. And we look forward to all the work that that committee has been undertaking over the last few months. They were appointed in a very short space of time, and they've done an amazing opportunity to plan and promote a solid summer festival. So we are looking forward to welcoming many people onto the island over the coming months. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, member. I invite the honorable member from Sandy Hill.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the government of Anguilla would have extended condolences in previous press conferences, in particular the last press conference. But this forum, this House of Assembly today, allows us the opportunity to once again extend our deepest condolences to the family, friends, and loved ones of Carmencita Davis, Pastor Norrell Gomes, Rosalind Webster, and Jeffrey Wade. In fact, Pastor Gomes' funeral will be held this Saturday, and I look forward to an opportunity to give my reflections on his involvement in the Sandy Hill community and his involvement as director of the Hope Center Board. Ms. Carmencita Davis, I would have had many interactions with her during her time in the Labor Department, and I can tell you that she was a firebrand and was in relentless pursuit of ensuring that employees were treated fairly across the length and breadth of Anguilla. And so we will dearly miss these persons who have departed, and we extend our best wishes and love to the family, friends, and loved ones of these persons. Speaker, as I listened to the other members of the House speak, I felt uplifted because there are so many positives happening in Anguilla today. And there is from time to time a more on those happy moments based on one-off situations that may occur, particularly as it relates to crime and violence in our communities. But the fact that we can celebrate our Anguilla cricket team's win the fact that we can celebrate our Men's Week nominees, and the fact that we have our Valley South United nonprofit organization who is about to undertake, or which is about to undertake, the restoration of the Valley basketball court. It says to you that there are positives happening in this country. I see a note about the Wizard, and, and I suppose I'm being urged to commend and congratulate the Wizard on their win as well. But suffice it to say, Madam Speaker, that there's a lot of good. There are a lot of good people in our country. There are a lot of good children in our country. And there are a lot of opportunities for advancement in our country. And so I look forward over the next weeks, months, and years to be able to ensure that the people of Anguilla continue to participate and are uplifted as a result of the good that is happening in our land. I want to also thank APANI, Madam Speaker. Just over a week ago, the Honorable Cardigan Connor, Honorable Neil Rogers, and I would have attended the APANI function in New York. And I was given the opportunity to give a few remarks. And it was a wonderful occasion, Madam Speaker. And you have been present as well, Madam Speaker, at that function. It was an opportunity for us to be able to meet up with our family and friends, to be able to connect with persons who we may not have remembered had left Anguilla, who may be overseas visiting and intend to return home shortly. But what was consistent among all of the many conversations that we had was that there was always a discussion about when they were returning home to Anguilla or when they were last in Anguilla. And so I would have seen a number of faces who would have been outside of Anguilla for many years, residing outside, but constantly return to Anguilla time and time again. And it confirmed to me the fact that our Anguillian diaspora is never very far from home. I remarked in my remarks, I would have suggested, I would have stated that a number of them know more about what happens in Anguilla than many of us who live here know. And of course, that was met with laughter and applause. So it says, Madam Speaker, that this administration's intent to ensure that our people, wherever they are, continue to remain included, continue to be involved, that is something that we will continue to ensure is done, because no matter where we are around the world, we are Anguillians. I want to specifically point out the recognition that was given to Hammer, one of our favorite radio talk show hosts and radio owner. And in fact, he would have taken the night in terms of the amount of applause and congratulations and well wishes that were given to him. And so what it says is that despite difficulties that he himself may experience and the radio station may experience, that the people love him. And more so the diaspora love him for keeping them informed. And so, Madam Speaker, I am happy to be able to give these remarks today, to walk away with the sense and the knowledge that we are in a good place. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member for Sandy Hill. I am surprised, however, that you weren't snuck a note on the 5th anniversary of the Albert Hughes Memorial Race, but I do want to commend the family of Mr. Albert Hughes. The late Albert Hughes was very fond of me, and I was very fond of him. I was very happy to hear that the event went off without a hitch, and I'm also very partial to the Light and Peace. My nephew races on it, so I'm very happy that that went off very well. I believe Mr.
That's why we need a team, Madam Speaker, because how could I forget about Albert Hughes and the Light and Peace?
Yes, thank you, member. I don't believe we have any other contributions. So again, I thank the members, I thank the clerks, the assistants, and I do invite the Honorable Member for Sandy Hill to move for the adjournment.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move that this Honorable House be adjourned to the 15th day of July, 2025.
Is there a seconder?
Madam Speaker.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded that this Honorable House stands adjourned until Tuesday, the 15th of July, 2025 at 10 a.m.